You writing poetry, you want to know how hip your stuff is? See them guys over there working on the street, they're digging that ditch. When they take a break for lunch, go over there and ask them if they want to hear a poem. Try to read them a poem. See what.
Look how many workers.
Throw something at you or what?
Look how many workers identified with Paul Robeson.
Well, that's what I mean, because he's saying something they want to hear.
That's right.
And this is one about Joe Hill, one of our great heroes in the American working class movement. From San Diego up to Maine, in every mine and mill, where working men defend their rights, it's there you'll find Joe Hill. It's there you'll find Joe Hill.
People respond to their own interests. If you represent their interests, they respond to that. If you're talking some old abstract stuff, they're not, you know. But that's the way I am too. I mean, I don't want to hear no stuff that don't have nothing to do with the stuff that concerns me just because you think it's profound. You know, you can talk about, you know, the moon and the stars. Like my wife says, I don't want to talk about the beach or the trees. The bourgeoisie owns the beach and owns the trees. I don't want to talk about that. It's true. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Unless you want to talk about how we can get it away from them. That's interesting.
I liked us better when we didn't dig our enemies so much. When we were at least suspicious. I liked us better when we traveled in big gangs. Not no small gangs, but big ass gangs. Threatening the people who still threaten us. When we charged them for their slavery and lynching and Klan membership. Now they took the robes off and put them in the Republican Party briefcases on the way into the House of Representatives. But who do they represent? Not us, but our murderers, enslavers. The same people who dragged us in iron into the bottom of them boats. I liked us better when we remembered these things and not would just stand there pleading with people who hate us to be civil, because they won't. And you should know it by now.
Art speaks to people. That's why they use it against you. You know, everything surrounding you is art, but it's being used against you, you see. I mean, you hear hundreds of times a day stuff that's anti your development. Hundreds of times. They make you sing songs that are telling you you don't have no sense, you're crazy, you don't have no future. You think you're just singing a song. You're actually teaching yourself the propaganda of your opposed. The problem is that they are able to bribe and entice our people, oppressed people, to take part in, you know, art forms that actually attack them and you know, discriminate against them and even you know, call them names and stuff. They are people who a lot of times are not conscious enough to avoid being placed in situations where they're actually helping their enemies, you know, because they can finally say they're getting paid, you know, and that's their excuse, you know, they're getting paid.
I saw words in the white boy's lying rag say you was gonna be poor and frustrated, that you was gonna die poor and frustrated, that them dreams walk with you across town is gonna die from overwork, that the garbage on the street is telling you you ain't shit, and you almost believe it. Broken, mistaken all the time, you know some of the words, but they ain't the right ones. Your cable back on, but ain't nothing on it you could see. But I see something in the way of things, something make us stumble, something get us drunk from noise and addicted to sadness. I see something and feel something stalking us like an ugly thing floating at our back, calling us names. You see it and hear it too. But you say it got it right.
That hip-hop is important as any other thing we have done. Anything, but you have to make it that.
It can't be like Lil Wayne or some silly shit like that. You have to make it so that it means something important to us, to the people. You know, it takes work, it takes study. To understand the real legacy and the power of what you can do, the power of what you have the potential to do, you have to know what preceded you. Part of the legacy of oppression is ignorance. Right. You know, because you don't know, because everything, when they say their great culture, when you go to these big places, what do you hear? You hear the 16th century, the 17th century, the 18th century. When you go to these schools, you got to go through this thing about their classics. And you'll never know anything about your own classics. See, that's what I'm saying. That in order even to get in this century properly, you got to know what happened before this century. Afro-American culture is central to American culture. You understand? And to track it throughout the years is what the work of, the task of artists and intellectuals. If you are going to be an intellectual, what you should be doing is studying. You should not be writing poetry off the top of your head. You should be studying. Studying the history of this country and the history of the world. Because otherwise, what you're writing is stupid. That's right. No, and it takes a while before you understand. And you look at some of your stuff and you say, God damn, I wrote that? It's a long struggle to be fully aware of who you are on this planet. And that's what we have to do. You have to study American culture all the way through. You're part of it, you're sin of it, but you're not going to succumb to the commercialism. You're not going to succumb to the colonialism that worships Europe as if we are all Uncle Sam with a little beard and a funny hat. This is America, and you've got to take its power and find yourself in it without succumbing to it. You cannot succumb to this. You must become a real part of this and make it change. Fight for it to change.
Somebody blew up America. They say it's some terrorist, some barbaric Arab in Afghanistan. It wasn't our American terrorists. It wasn't the Klan or the skinheads or the them that blows up nigger churches or reincarnates us on death row. It wasn't Trent Lott or David Duke or Giuliani or Schindler. Helms retiring. It wasn't the gonorrhea in costume, the white sheet diseases that have murdered black people, terrorized reason and sanity, most of humanity as they pleases. They say, who say? Who do the saying? Who is them paying? Who tell the lies? Who in disguise? Who had the slaves? Who got the bucks out the bucks? Who got fat from plantations? Who genocided Indians, tried to waste the black nation? Who kill the most people? Who do the most evil? Who don't worry about survival? Who have the colonies? Who stole the most land? Who rule the world? Who say they good but only do evil? Who the biggest executioner? Ho, ho, ho. Who own the oil? Who want more oil? Who told you what you think the lady you find out is a lie? Ho, ho. Who found Bin Laden? Maybe they Satan. Who paid the CIA? Who knew the bomb was gonna blow?
I'll tell you, there's thousands and thousands of things, God knows, that you want to do that you will never do. But make sure you do the things that are most important, you know. Anyway, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to, now he let my beer get warm.
Fulfill that mission of your generation. That's right. Or betray it.
It's fanon.
That's right.
Each generation comes into its own maturity and has a task to do that they can either fulfill or betray. That's it. That's familiar. Now you read that, you say, oh yeah?
I got a job.
I got a job. Where am I in that?
Very